Who is the HD25 for specifically? What about it stands out? How will it change your life? Is it worth a snap purchase? All these answers and more coming up. Greetings, friendo, and welcome aboard. Stuart Charles here, HomeStudioBasics.com, helping you make sound decisions leading to a beautiful audio experience that will make you fall in love with music, not gear, all over again. So who is the HD25 for specifically? If you're a metalhead, look no further. Out of the 100 plus headphones that I've demoed at the time of this writing, the HD25 is by far the best for metal, and it's not even close. I firmly believe that the folks at Sennheiser sat down one day and were like, you know, we should make a metalhead homie headphone. Those headbanger bros don't get enough love. We should make it so good, in fact, that they may need a neck brace when the track is over. Simply put, the HD25 is one of the most lively, exciting, and engaging sound signatures you'll likely ever come across. I remember vividly the first time I put it on. I was visiting my mom and dad and sitting on the couch ready to fire up a track. Mom and I had just got back from Sam Ash / Guitar Center, and after a snap purchase without thinking, I had the HD25s in my possession. Because rabbit hole! Finally, I could hardly contain my excitement because I had heard so many great things about them. In all honesty, I was a little bit worried and skeptical that the sound may not deliver on all the hype. Well, worry no more! I was floored and then some. My jaw dropped. I couldn't believe how amazing they sounded, especially being that they were an on-ear, closed-back headphone. The closed-back sound is something that I would say 99.9% of people will experience first in their journey. But closed-backs are generally difficult to recommend above the entry-level price range. There just aren't that many out there that I would personally invest in, but the HD25 is certainly an exception. Listening to one is like the anticipation of dropping into the dunk tank, getting a bucket of water poured over your head, or getting hit in the face with 50 water balloons at once. Oh yeah, give it to me. It's like a cold water splash in the morning, only the water is like 32 below zero. The sound is crisp, detailed, lively, engaging, and exciting all at once. To be honest, it can be overwhelming. I remember thinking to myself, there's no other headphone I've heard quite like this, but I also knew that I would remember that moment for as long as I lived. In other words, I was close to creaming myself. Just kidding, but kind of not. It excited me in ways that few headphones have ever been able to achieve. It combines everything about a fun, bass-oriented experience without sounding cheap or artificial in the slightest. The treble can get a little bit too hot and sizzly, but I think the sibilant claims are completely over-exaggerated, especially when looking at a really solid graph like Crinical's. Both the mid-bass and treble are surely emphasized, but it doesn't really sound like the headphone is going out of its way to try and impress you. It also doesn't really suffer from any real mid-range recession, aside from the slight dip at around 200 to 400 Hz. If you think about it, that dip is necessary being that the mid-bass does stand out by about 5 decibels. To me, just about the perfect amount. Maybe it could be EQ'd down by a decibel or two, but I really enjoy it. Honestly, you're not going to really give a crap about all that malarkey. This is a near perfect headphone, and there's really only one thing to keep in mind. It will get pretty uncomfortable after about 45 minutes to an hour. There's no getting around that. Adjust accordingly, but also plan to use this baby in short bursts when you really feel like you need to bang your head. Yeah! What sets it apart from other basshead pretenders is the fact that while it may be super intense, it still doesn't feel out of control or overdone like your mom's meatloaf.
You know what? I will have some meatloaf. Let's have some meatloaf. You want some? Yes. I knew you'd come. Hey, Mom!
For metal, hip-hop, EDM, and generally harder genres, the HD25 is perhaps the best headphone you could ever invest in. It's built like a tank, it's extremely fast, it's very efficient, meaning it doesn't need an amp, and it sits at an almost perfect price point. When I say fast, I simply mean that the HD25 handles the fast-paced nature of the metal genre with absolute ease. Its transient response is simply perfect for crunchy guitars, deep bass notes, and overall delivers incredible weight and impact without the bloatfly. Imaging and Soundstage are also quite good, especially for a closed back on-ear. It was astounding to me how out of my head the sound felt at times. Another aspect of the experience that made me pop a stiffy. Just kidding again. What about build? It's an interesting headphone build-wise in that the headband actually splits into two. I believe this helps to get a good fit depending on the size and shape of your head. I mostly don't have issues with it in the sense that it always rests pretty comfortably on the top of my head. The headphones aren't really foldable per se, but they do move and contort rather freely like Mr. McFeely. The headband adjustment is also quite interesting in that it's a thin piece of plastic that slides through the ear cup. A stark contrast to the vast majority of more traditional headband adjustment mechanisms. The real issue is the pads, which we'll discuss in a bit. It comes with a short, non-detachable cable that terminates in a 3.5mm jack and a supplied 1/4-inch adapter. If you remember my stress test, I really threw this one around quite a bit to see if it could take the abuse. The result? Takes a licking and keeps on ticking. Competitors here include the M50X and DT770. While I would take the 770 for comfort, I'd still rank the HD25 above both in terms of sound. It's like a V-shape for connoisseurs. Both the 50X and 770 can get a tad sloppy, but are still great bass head sounds in their own right. The HD25 is sort of like a pinky out type of headphone. It's classy in the way that it delivers the bass head experience. It knows it's not neutral and flaunts it proudly and flamboyantly. The difference is that unlike other headphones, the HD25 pulls it off with an understated elegance that's hard to argue with. So is it worth a snap purchase? Absolutely. I had to sell mine in 2019 for financial reasons, but I plan to get another one for metal and hip hop specifically. There's simply nothing that better represents the core of what these two genres are about. It's like the HD25 was made specifically for people who listen to metal. I don't personally listen to metal as much as other genres, but that's the great thing about it. You can use the HD25s for a variety of music and it will likely sound excellent. Just stick to harder stuff, really. Comfort does hold this one back a bit, so plan accordingly. The on-ear fit means it will start to dig into your earlobes after a while, and for that, some points need to be docked. Even so, this is a headphone I believe everyone should have in their cabinet. It's rugged and durable, it sounds amazing, and outclasses both the 770 and M50X in my opinion. Comfort is better on the 770, so keep that in mind. So, are you ready to venture further down the rabbit hole? Click the video to my right and let's learn more about another headphone that I experienced on my journey. I know it will help you out immensely on yours.